right, so who here has heard of Maggie Rogers? She's freaking awesome, isn't she? Okay, if you haven't heard of her, you need to look her up. So she recently came out with this album called Heard It in a Past Life. And so I was spinning off this presentation on that, where her album's about her musical journey. So mine's more about my amateur musical journey. So first off, this is Carl, my roommate. He's kind of a freeloader. He's super cute. He loves the violin case, not the violin. If I play that, he's out the door. So I just wanted to showcase this dude. I do it for every presentation. So I want to start off my story with when I was in the first grade. The Noblesville High School Orchestra came and played for us. And I remember being so mesmerized by the violin and the sound that it made, and how does that make that noise of the horsehair bow against those strings? It was like I've played it my entire life. And so what did I do that night? I went home to my parents and I was like, oh, please let me play. Please, can I play the violin? And of course, however old you are in first grade, right? 7 years old. My parents did the only sane thing and they were like, no, we're not gonna make that investment just yet. And so I grew up with a piano, and so I was lucky enough to, actually 2 at one point, and so again, very lucky, I was able to kind of fill that musical void and teach myself how to play and play by ear. So I'd put headphones in and I would just play it all out. And sorry, these photos are not the greatest. And at this time, I was having these weird, vivid dreams of like a past life of being a luthier. So a luthier is somebody who makes stringed instruments. And so something kind of like this a little bit, but it was super weird. It just felt like this has just been in my life, for forever. And so this guy right here is one of the first known luthier. And so guess what his name is? Just take a stab. Andrea. Yeah, I think it was Andrea, but I was like, no way. So he first started making the violin in 1560-ish. So here's Andrea, about 12 years old, playing the violin. It's not the greatest. But once I was able to play, I just really took off. And I played all the way through high school, got in the advanced chamber orchestra. And by the time I kind of graduated, I kind of got burned out of all the hours of spending on music all the time. So I ended up going to art school. I kept this passion alive. So I brought the violin in and used it in my art. And actually, funny enough, if you go to art school, this is like your final exam, which is funny to draw a picture of something. And so I always had my violin with me. I carried it with me all the time. I take it out, at least tune it up. It was always with me. And about five or so years ago, I started having this weird yearning to keep playing, to play again, and with musicians, but primarily quartets, going back and playing with other stringed instruments. And so I met this lovely lady, Shannon Crow. She's an amazing musician. She also teaches students at IUPUI in Butler. And so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, do you have any classes I could participate in? And this was one of them. This is a very introductory type class where these are people who just learned how to play 6 months ago. So I was like, yeah, all right, I get it. I should probably try to find something more advanced. But it's hard to find a group of violinists to just who's on the street or wherever just want to play, And so I ended up going to Butler. So on Thursday nights, you'd find me there from 7 to 8 playing with these nice folk. And they're all retired, or most of them are. Either had played the instrument earlier on in life or picked it up later in life, which is super admirable to me, I feel like, because it's a very hard instrument to learn later in life. And so a few years ago at my work, we had a fun little mini holiday party, which I know Emily, I'm sure, saw this, hopefully. And what was great is that these guys have never played for anybody in their life. And so it was super great to kind of get them in front of people. So this time last year, I played at the Chatterbox Jazz Club. Classical Revolution series is every first Tuesday of the month. And going back to so earlier on, my dream was to be a part of the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra. I forgot to mention that earlier. And I was able to play with some of the members of the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra at the Chatterbox on a total whim. I was like, hey, I've been playing violin for 20 years. I'm not that good, but here's a violin, here's music, you got 5 minutes to figure it out. I'm like, I played horrible, but it was like awesome, and it was like the highlight of my life and my music career. And so now it comes with me everywhere. Here I am playing at a few different bars. Of course, people are always like, do you know the song, The Devil Went Down to Georgia? And I'm like, God, no, I know Pirates of the Caribbean though, because I played 4 years in a row. So I'm always trying to remember that by muscle memory. And so basically now what I've been trying to do with my musical career is trying things that scare me. This is one of them. Like, I hate talking in front of people. And with my violin, I was classically trained, so I know how to read music, but I don't know how to improv. And a lot of the musicians I work with don't know how to read music, which is like insane to me. And so right now, I'm trying really hard to just try those things that just freak me out. And it's super uncomfortable because it's super unstructured, but, right, like kind of going back to the whole theme of time, right? Like, we don't have all the time in the world, and why not try new things? And one of them, like whether it's trying a new instrument or a new language or trying pottery for the first time, like we should all just really think about like life is short and just really do those things that scare you. Thank you.